All right, we are live, everybody. Just a couple minutes before 5 o'clock, so I'm not quite starting quite yet, but we're going to check the audio, make sure everything's working, and once that's good, I'll be back in just a few seconds, and we will start. I'll be right back. For now, I'll let you enjoy the fine sounds of background noise at Henry's New Market. All right. Looks like we have a few people watching. That's great. Thank you very much for tuning in to the weekly BrYangle Report. It's pretty much 5 o'clock, so I might as well start up right now. Tonight is actually part 2 to our lighting conversation. Conversation we started last week when we went into the different kinds of lights, and I had a conversation about my backstory and how I've learned different lighting. I'm going to kind of continue with that theme of personal experience lending to the conversation, and talk about my journey in lighting and the different effects that I've been able to create with the different lights that we're going to talk about, different things that we can talk about. So today we're talking about the style and the mood of light. It's a little bit more than just, hey guys, this is a light, buy it, here's a different light, buy it kind of thing. That's not what the conversation today is going to be about. It's going to be about the style and mood of lighting, because that's super important. Light is literally the basis of all things when it comes to photography. It's all about light. Photo is light and graphy is drawing or paintbrush. So the word photography literally means drawing with light, and today we're going to talk about that, like I say, the style and the mood. Before we get into that though, I just want to do our quick Did You Know for the day, and the Did You Know today is on sensor size. A lot of people don't realize how important a digital sensor is to photography. There's all different size sensors in our cameras. The cell phone has a very, very tiny sensor. Camera like I'm using here to record has a larger, what they call a full frame sensor. And there's a lot of other different sizes. Now it's really important to know the benefits of what your sensor does. So I have a couple sensors right here I'm going to show you. So I'm just going to hold this guy up. This is the sensor that you usually find in a large point and shoot camera, like a better quality point and shoot camera. Let's see if I can give you a better focus on it or something. There you go, just a little guy. The larger sensor, this is an APS-C size. You see the difference there. This is what you'll find in like a Nikon D7000 or 5000 camera, or a Canon Rebel, or a 60D or a 7D, or any of the Sony non-full frame cameras are all this guy. Now, obviously the size is important. There's a few key factors that size helps with. First is dynamic range, which is the different shades of gray from black to white. So more shadow details, more highlights, the larger your sensor is. The second is depth of field. If I want to make a video where I'm in focus really clearly, but it blurs really blurry in the background, that's a shallow depth of field. The larger your sensor, the more of that effect you can control. And then the last thing is high ISO. And the way you get better high ISO, and again, ISO is like when they push more heat through a pixel, it makes the pixel hotter, more sensitive to light. So in a lower light situation, you can still get a faster shutter speed because the camera is more sensitive to the light, is feeling the heat more. The problem with that comes if you have two sensors that are this size, two cameras that have a small sensor, one has a bigger sensor. If they each have the same number of pixels on their sensor, the bigger sensor will have larger pixels. There's more surface area for those pixels to be larger. And when the pixel's larger, it soaks up heat better. You don't see the noise that you would see at higher ISOs that you would from your cell phone or a point and shoot camera. That's why sensor size is so important. So before we buy our cameras, the next camera you choose, make sure you're thinking about what you're using it for. And you're just making sure that the sensor is going to do the best job for you in that product. So any questions about that, please feel free to write it in the chat. Of course, Juan is watching today. He's going to be able to draw my attention to anything or just answer the question for you right there on the spot. And keep in mind, guys, this is a live show. So if you have questions, ask them right away. That's why I'm doing it, so that we can keep that conversation going. All right, so that's our Did You Know sensor size. Now we're getting on to what's new and used. And remember, folks, anytime you have a question, post it. If you feel that you have an insight onto something like I'm talking about right now, I'd love to hear it. That's why we're doing it. First, I'm going to start off our what's new with our Simon Says. Simon Yates is a great guy. He has his own YouTube channel called The Ordinary Filmmaker. He does a lot of discussion about what's coming out next, rumors and things like that. And if you want to know some really cool rumors, check out The Ordinary Filmmaker on YouTube. And Simon has some great information on that channel. He gives me a little nugget that I can talk about. And today, one of the things he talked about was how the president of Panasonic called their situation a crisis situation. Right now, Panasonic is under a lot of heat because they just brought out some really great cameras. I talked about it last week, the S9, and they're bringing out the S5 IS2, or their new Panasonic. I keep pointing at one like you're just going to answer me. S52H. There's some new models coming out from Panasonic. The problem is they're using images not made by Panasonic cameras to promote their camera. So like they have some Nikon images, and they have stuff made in 2016. So they've been caught red-handed basically using Nikon photo to promote multiple cameras on their page. Now I've got an example of that I'm going to show here. Let's pull it up and I'll show you the story topic so that you can see what I'm talking about. So here we are. Panasonic apologizes after being caught using photos taken on Canon, Nikon, and Tamron product. So it's not a very good situation. Apparently, this person that wrote the story used this photo. They did a Google search on the photo, and Google found the photo from where it was taken originally, and it is not Panasonic. So that's a big no-no in this world. The next story is how Canon actually launched this is really cool. I love this. Canon launches Women Who Empower campaign in Nigeria to combat gender inequality in the visual arts. Now, the reason I love this so much, and the reason I kind of giggled, is because it's not just important that Canon is doing this, but other people do this too. There's a lot of people who, well, I shouldn't even say a lot, but one specifically, Amina Mohammed, she runs a company called Cameras for Girls. And this is a company that she's been running for a number of years. Cameras for Girls is something that I personally will sponsor and help in any way I can. First off, I know Amina really well. She's just a go-getter, and she's absolutely incredible. She's helped me personally with my day tripper photo business a couple times. But her thing, Camera for Girls, is really coming back to what Canon's just talking about, overcoming gender inequality and poverty one camera at a time. Now, Amina will actually buy Canon cameras and bring them to Africa, Uganda specifically, and some other places, and leave the cameras with women that she has trained on photography. She's taught them business skills, and they're getting jobs as journalists and all kinds of different things now because of this training that Amina has given them. So if you want to help out at a grassroots level, and the Canon launching the Women Who Empower campaign has inspired you, I highly suggest that you go to Cameras for Girls and maybe give them a little bit of love as well, because they're a small operation. It's all not for profit, and they take those cameras and they teach the women and they give them life skills. So really, really important things that are going on right now. All right. Now we're going to come back to me here for a second, and I'm going to continue our conversation because there's more to talk about. And what's really a big news, and this is for Henry's specifically, huge news. I don't know if you folks know, but about a year ago, Henry's was sold for the first time in 114, 15 years, I believe since 1908 or 1909, when Henry's was first brought up. They finally are now owned by a Stein family member, and that was about a year ago. Well, since then, Jillian Stein, the last remaining Stein family member of our company, has been our CEO. I've known Jillian for a number of years. She's amazing. She's done a lot of good things for the company, and unfortunately for us, she is transitioning away from her role as CEO at the end of this month. So I just want to give a quick shout out to Jillian and say thank you for all that you've done for Henry's. Thank you for everything you've done for me personally. We've had a lot of great conversations over the years, and I'll miss you being here. And I hope you do really, really well out there promoting mental health awareness and all the other things that you do. I think you're an excellent ambassador for women in business as well, speaking on the same theme as what Canon and Amina do to help women who need help. You're amazing for that too. So more power to you, and good luck on your next chapter. All right, any comments that I should be talking about? People saying hi. Oh, I want to say hi to people. Let's see. One commented, hello, Mims. Who else? My thing is not working well. Expand the comments. Oh, Auntie Lee's watching too. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. And again, any questions at all, please let me know anytime. Move along in our conversation. So we've talked about the Did You Know? We've talked about what's new. And now we're going to talk about what's used. And this week, we're not talking about used equipment because a lot of it isn't here right now. If you followed what's been going on in our store, you might know why. I can't get into it too much. But we're going to talk about what's used in the industry, something that's really important that a lot of people need to have, and that is stands. I've done a whole show on the support. This is going to be a quick thing that you might not have thought about, stands that are really helpful for people and different ways to use them. So first stand would be just a quick little 3-foot stand. These are really handy. I'm using one for my LED light that I have on me in the front here. These are really helpful. I use these as a rear fill flash, and I'm going to show you some photos to close our conversation today that are going to go into, how I use this particular stand. C-clamp stands are super helpful as well. A C-clamp is just a little clamp that you can clamp anything or screw anything to. There's all different mounts that you can get for it. I have on this one here just a standard tripod thread mount. And any little light that you have that you want to use in your setup, you can clamp to that. Clamp it to almost any surface, and then you have a light holder that you can use right there at your fingertips. We have one right now in the back behind me here. The super clamp is mounted to this other stand that I'm going to talk about in a second. And on that super clamp, I've got one of these really cool Godox LED lights that are, you can make them any color you want them to be. And in this case, I'm just using them for a little fill behind me. Put that back. Easy, clip it into place. So super clamps are, in my opinion, one of the coolest thing. I know anytime I go on a shoot, I'll bring a couple super clamps with me in case I need to mount a flash, or if I need to mount a remote, or if I need to mount a light, or anything I need to do. The super clamps are great. Clamp it, screw something to it, and it really supports the weight of anything. I can stand on this and it's not going to come off the shelf. So really reliable stand that you can use. Other than that, this guy here, this is a boom stand. A boom stand is something that you can mount a light to and bring it up and mount it over things, but it's not quite as sturdy as a C stand. C stands have longer bases so that you can put really heavy lights or heavy cameras and shoot from above. It has a tall stand, and then it has a crossbar that comes out, and those are really the top of the line as far as an off-camera light stand that you can put heavier lights to. And my main light that I'm using right now is using a C stand attachment mounted to our ceiling so that it can give me a little light from the front. Doesn't help with the hat, but you know what? That's okay. You can still see me. All right, so that is my quick what's used in the industry. Getting a neat little stand that will support your lighting or support microphones or support anything you need to support while you're shooting something is really handy to have. I highly recommend the super clamps. Just have one. They're just really handy to have. All right. Hey, Doug, thanks for watching. And Steve is watching. By the way, Steve, I talked about him on What's New a couple weeks ago. Steve is back from being off for a long time. Steve, come over. Just want everybody to say hi to Steve because I love him and I'm glad he's back. And if you know Steve, you know why. This dude's awesome. Welcome back, my friend. Say hi to the camera.
Oh, yeah, we're here.
He's a video producer. That was awesome. All right, let's get into the core conversation, everyone. We're about 5:30, so that's a perfect time to get into it. And again, if you have questions, oh, my brother Steve. No, not you, Steve. This Steve Walsh, former producer at Rogers for 20 plus years. Has a film actually in our cabinet over there that we're raffling off for CMHA. Canadian Mental Health Association is our charity that we're currently giving all the proceeds that we can generate to. And we have a promotion on for the month of May because it's Mental Health Awareness Month, where if you come in and you have $1 and you want to donate it, you get one ballot to win Steve's movie that is in our counter that he produced. So that's really cool. And I'm giving away a BrYangle workshop, and we have some prints and things like that that we're giving away for anybody that gives money, or potentially, if you win, who gives money for our charity, CMHA. All right, core conversation. How to create mood with lighting in photography. Mood is really important. For example, if I wanted to, I can get rid of these lights and it feels very blah. Nothing coming from here, nothing coming from back here. I can turn this guy off and it'll feel even worse. Now it's very stark in here, right? And really it's just a few lights that make it come to life. Got a couple of these Aperture MC lights. See if I can yank one from back here. There we are. Very small, magnetic. That's how I can just stick it to the back of this post back here. Having some kind of light where you can change color is really important. Understanding color temperature is even more important. So I'm going to turn that back on there. I'm going to get these guys going again. And now it looks a little bit more, I don't know, lively, more depth to the video. So color temperature is important. The light that I have down here, this is an LED panel. And this is right now set to a color temperature of 3,300 Kelvin. Kelvin is the color of light, the color temperature of light. 3,300 Kelvin, as you see, is kind of a warm tone. But if I change that and I bring it up to a higher color temperature, that's 5,600, it's a little cooler. It's not as warm anymore. Maybe hard to tell on the video you're seeing. Maybe it look better if I do this on myself here. Let's see here, 5,600. And then I'm going to turn it down so it's warmer. And you'll see my skin tone kind of go yellowy. You have a lot of control over what skin looks like when you adjust your color temperature correctly with your lights. So first thing about proper lighting is know your color temperature. And let me just make sure this is turned back up here. So I have some power. Get the power. There we go. Get the power coming. Okay, so understand color temperature, super important. In your camera, you can control white balance, but you can also control white balance in the color lights that you choose. It's really important to match that color or give contrasting colors if you're using LED lights like what I have here. Contrasting colors, for example, would be, we have blue light going here, we have blue light going back here. If I wanted to, I can make that blue light over here yellow or red. You know, just change it up a little bit and get a different tone and have the contrasting colors coming as well. Sometimes that's a nice dynamic. I think what I prefer today is kind of keeping them all the same color. So that's what I'm going with. The direction and quality of light is super important as well. Directionality can be the difference between angels. Let's see if I can get this light bright. There we go. Angels or demons, right? So the light directionality is super important. This light coming from here to fill up a little bit of light under here versus no light from down here at all, and I'm pure shadow. I've got the ISO on my camera turned down, so it's a little bit darker on this show than other episodes because I am trying to really showcase the light that we're talking about. Now also, the size of light is what I'm talking about for quality. So little lights like this, very harsh light, a bigger panel would be very soft. So big light is generally softer light. That's something I'm going to talk about as well. The quality difference between soft light and contrasty light. A really good way to know if you're going to have soft or contrasty light is, like I just mentioned, the size of the light you use. So if you're going to use soft boxes or octaboxes or any kind of light like that, the bigger that light modifier, the softer the overall light on your subject. The smaller the light, the harsher it's going to be. So the more dramatic your shadows will be. I always use the example of my nose being like a big, huge mountain. If I had an umbrella on this side and a softbox on this side, the light from the softbox would hit the mountain and wrap around, showing all the detail and the texture on the other side of the mountain. I keep on using the word mountain. It's like Mount Everest, but whatever. If I'm using the umbrella from this side, the umbrella will hit that mountain and then I'll have all darkness and it'll get very dark. So it's much more contrast. And again, the contrast is just the difference between the amount of change there is from black to white, the more contrast there is. So when things are really bright, there's a lot of contrast. When things are very dim and everything blends together, there's no contrast. So to create more contrast, you use a smaller light, or you can go with the different kind of light modifier, like an umbrella versus a softbox. Now remember, light is your language. What you like may be different than what I like. I might not learn to speak beauty portrait lighting because I don't really care about beauty portrait lighting. I care about dramatic pro wrestling and things like that. And I'm going to show you some photos in a minute that'll show you what I'm talking about. So learn what you like and what you enjoy, because that's really important to telling your own story. And again, that goes back to the last point I want to make. You have understand color temperature, you have control the direction and the quality of light, but you want to use light to tell your story. In all of my wrestling photos, there's some amount of light either behind the scene or coming at the scene. I'm either using flash or using available light to add a flare in the background, to add some definition, some depth to the photo. Using light for portraits, for in-ring, for anything I do is essential, but that's my story I'm telling. That's the way I like to do it. And so my personal experience over the years, playing with lights, making a lot of really bad. I think that's your internet, Ann. It looks like everything's working on our end. Juan, is the video still working? Everything's good? Cool. Yeah, I think that's on your end there, Ann. And I'm glad you're watching. Glad you're here. And sorry, Steve. Sorry I wasn't talking about you. If you come to Newmarket, Steve, my brother, Weiss, Steve, you come to Newmarket and you walk into the store when I'm doing the show, I will bring you in and I will introduce you. Until then, you can grr. All good. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate that, man. Appreciate you letting me know about that. Okay, so remember, lighting is your language. Learn the lighting that you like and learn how to do it. Experiment with different lighting setups. As you've seen since I've started doing this show, I've tried different lighting setups. I've got a spot over here. I've got a light up there. I've got an LED down here. I've got color behind me. I mean, I'm going to continuously try and change that because it's fun, and that's why I'm doing this. It's fun. Stop thinking in ratios. In other words, stop overthinking. Look at the picture. Look at the shadows. Make your lights brighter or darker. A lot of times, that's all you need to worry about. A lot of people will really overthink those things quite a bit. Start learning about ratios and fractions, and if it's going to be this distance, you have to do this. Hey, by all means, if you want to do it that way and your brain works that way, there's nothing wrong with it. My brain doesn't work that way. My brain is kind of like, hey, I got a light over here. That's a bit too much. Ooh, that's harsh. There's a hot spot. You know what I mean? So turn it down a little bit. That's kind of how I work. So stop thinking in ratios. Try not to overthink how you can moderate your light, but just do it. Also, don't be afraid of shadows. I love shadows in a photo. I'm a firm believer that the space you don't light will add more drama to the actual areas that you do light. So sometimes it's not what you don't, or it's not what you are lighting, it's more so what you don't want to light. And that's by flagging lights and moving the directionality. And there's, again, in the photos I show you in a couple seconds, there's some examples that'll show that. And also, if you're new to photography, try working in black and white for a while. When you shoot in black and white, it's not about color. Your color isn't distracting you at all. Now it's all about texture and the amount of light and the shade that you have. You really start to learn the importance of light and shade if you do shoot in color, in black and white. So for those of you who are just starting off in photography and you want to really master light, maybe focus on black and white for a little while and go that route, and that might help you a lot. All right. Let's see what else here. Okay, let's just go into the photos. Let's talk about these pictures that I have here. Hang on one moment. I'm going to pull them up and I'm going to share with you guys. Here you are. Now, the first photo I'm sharing is one of my earlier portraits that I made. This is a multiple light setup. The wrestler's name is Kevin Blackwood. Awesome dude, lots of tattoos, very dramatic and a great look. I always love shooting Kev. But this photo here was taken in a club. I had a couple lights, two, I believe, lights set up just in the environment that we were in. And with the two lights, I'm able to get light on both sides of his face. You're able to see his blackout arm and all the details and texture without lighting up a lot behind him. I had all these lights with grids so it directed the light exactly where I wanted it to go. All right. Where this same guy, completely different image. Now I've got this colored light behind him. I've got green, like a yellowy green color behind him. Funny story about that green color. The backdrop is actually blue. I shined a yellow gelled light onto it from behind with one of these 3-foot light stands that you can't see me holding right now. Let me see if I can allow you to see me at the same time. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe not. Here we go. And there we go. Cool. So I've got this 3-foot light stand behind, lighting that colored light in the background. Same backdrop stand or backdrop behind me. And now the difference is, as you can see, there's no color behind him. I'm just going to close this off for a minute here, make that picture a little bit larger so you guys can see a little bit better. There you go. So now with that 3-foot light stand behind him, I don't have the flash fire, and I'm still getting the front lights lighting him the way I wanted, but no color in the background. It's a different drama. It's a different feel. You may or may not like it. Now, shooting portraiture is fun with light, but it's not all about portrait. It's about what happens when you're shooting other things too. Now, obviously, a lot of my photos are going to be wrestling centric. I do have at the end of these pictures other things that I shoot that also really benefit from proper lighting. But here, I mean, this is a wrestler named Myung Jae Lee. He was the Three Pistols champion in Barrie. And that light behind him with the smoke and my light from in front, I added a bit of fill light with flash in front to give a little bit of that light on him. It really helps bring out the drama and the emotion of the moment. A champion coming out with his belt, energy, high energy. And without that lighting, it just wouldn't have been effective at all. Oop. Now I feel like we're frozen. Hang on just a minute, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching and you can hear me, just hang tight. We got a little bit of a freeze going. And if you can't hear me, then there's something else going on. Hang on. I'll be right back, guys. Stick around. Don't disappear. So you can hear me, but you can't see me, and I can't change anything. Oh, fantastic. My mouse isn't working. So maybe my mouse is dead. Well, that doesn't help me much. And I don't have the cord to plug it in. Yay. All right, give me 1 second. I've got to get a mouse of some kind. Mouse, 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 mouse. Mouse, mouse, mouse. Haha, we have a mouse. We're back, folks. We are back. Now, if I can just make this cord a little bit longer, that'd be very helpful. All right, so there's Kevin. Whoops. This mouse isn't making it easy at all. There's my first photo. Why does this cord have to be so short? I know. I just don't have very great control of it. That's all. Oh, there we are. Okay. So there we were. Color. There's Myung Jae Lee with the color behind him. Thanks for your patience, everybody. Hopefully people are still watching. Let's see here. All right. Next time I'm bringing the cord to charge this up as I go. All right. Same blue backdrop here. This is a amazing wrestler. Great look. Everything is so dramatic. Tara Zepp is her name. And the blue color in the background, again, the white lights in the front are all the same, except I'm just adding a different gel to a flash in the background, a blue light on a blue background, and it just pops like crazy. More how light will create drama in a photo. I usually, when I'm shooting wrestling, will position a light behind my subject so that I get this kind of weird flare out from the sides. It shows a lot of drama, like spit flying in the air and stuff like that. This mouse is not the most fun. Sometimes you don't add light to your subject at all. This is just natural daylight. It just happened to be shooting outside on a nice day. I made sure that the sun was in the right position so that it didn't take away from the photo, and it gave me a nice soft light. And again, big light is soft light. The sun with a bit of cloud diffusion creates a very big light, so the light becomes very soft. This is hilarious. All right. So you're seeing every photo. I can just sit here flipping photos all day. People are going to get pissed. All right. There's Kevin again. Black backdrop with a single light. Kevin again. I love shooting this guy. He has such a great look. And this is just a white backdrop. The problem with a white backdrop is if you don't light the white, it'll look gray. It'll look very dull. So I actually have to put flash behind him again with a white flash on it to really make that white pop. As I go through, each portrait is a little different. And all that's really changing is the color behind and composition. The light in the front, I'm still trying to light it very similarly, but the color behind adds such a different drama to every image that I'd make. Come on, this touchy thing. This one here, completely different backdrop than I've usually used. And I made sure that the light was on his eye because he had red behind his mask and I wanted that to really shine. So directing light to a very specific place really helps with that as well. Available light, sometimes not having light where you want it, is the drama. And again, this is a shot here at a place where the lighting was just horrible to shoot in, but I love having that light in the background. And that light in the back really gave me the edges and the story I'm trying to tell. But the no light in the front created the drama. So sometimes not having light, like I said earlier, where the shadows are really, really important. This might be something more of you would do. When you shoot wildlife, a lot of people don't add light. You're using natural light. Not everybody can carry a flash with them when they're shooting wildlife. I was very lucky. When COVID hit, I was home with a lot of gear, and I was home for a long time. One of those days, I went to the backyard and I did a live from my backyard video showing how to use off-camera flash. I had 2 flashes set up in my backyard, firing them by remote, sitting a ways off with a long telephoto lens, and the birds were just doing their thing, and I'd be taking pictures with my flash firing. Having off-camera flash is what made the drama in this photo. It gave me directionality, it gave me pop, it gave me clarity. The catch light in the bird's eyes is something I wouldn't normally see when I'm just shooting with daylight, unless I was Robin Knighton taking pictures of birds, because she can do things like that. She's incredible with her bird photography lately. But that really makes a big difference. Thanks, Doug. And again, different colored light, same blue light with a red gel, or sorry, blue backdrop with a red gel. And that's the whole gist of it. And you can see if you don't have enough light, sometimes using a slower shutter speed and a little pop-up flash will give you sharpness with motion. So that's something I really love working on too. Sometimes the lighting just isn't right. This is an outdoor event. At the beginning of the day, it was fine because it was bright, but as the day went on, it got darker and I lost all the light. So I started using the pop-up flash or a flash doing some motion blur with slow shutter speeds and just embracing the blur. And I had so much fun, made some great shots. They really liked them. And there we go. Another thing, when you're shooting outside, if you use flash, you can create drama. Most photos I see, especially in the wrestling world, where people are taking pictures at an outdoor event, because Canada Day is coming up. This is something I'll be doing a lot. I have a 2-day event in Canada Day and then Kempenfest. Outdoor photography is challenging. If you don't use flash, you won't see any detail in the sky. If you use flash, you can close the aperture down, really make the image darker. That'll bring out the clouds, that'll bring out the color in the sky, and then you can use flash to fill the front and create this really cool drama that I wouldn't have been able to create. And I don't see other people doing in the wrestling world, so it just is a way to stand out by understanding light and understanding the story you're trying to tell. Now this here is a conversation about white balance. I talked to you guys about white balance a few minutes ago. I know we're running low on time, but I just want to show, this is Brad, a referee, with white balance adjusted to the bluish tones, and the same photo with more natural tone gives it a completely different feel. This is now, you know, the orange in the glasses, the amber color is brighter, the skin tone is more natural. So getting proper white balance when you're shooting, or proper white balance with proper color, is also something that's really important to think about. Oh, look, there's Shelly. It's my wife. She doesn't want me to show that, so I'll move on to, this is Nova. She is playing a character at Demand Lucha where she is, you know, a sultry, like a manager person, and she comes up and beats people up. But having the right light is how I was able to create the drama. The black background for this kind of a photo, I think, really worked. It just really helps her stand out from the shot, isolates her, and draws all the focus to her. And then we're going to get to some quick light painting stuff, because I don't have all the time in the world, and I wasted a lot of it trying to get this mouse to work. But here's an example of how light creates a photo. Everything you see here is light except for the mug and the little crystal inside the mug. Inside the mug, I've got a light firing yellow light up into the crystal. I've got a blue light that I lit the mug with, and I've got little white lights bouncing around on a fiber optic to create the illusion of motion below it. So this is how you can use light literally to create a photography. This is a green apple. I used a red flashlight and I lit a green apple red. So again, taking color and adding it to your photo, you can change the story you're trying to tell. The Leatherman knife is blue light and white light both used at the same time to give a kind of a bluish, cool tone to the metal and the steel. And here is my favorite light painting photo of just Gerbera daisies, fake flowers on a table. And I used blue and red and yellow and all different lights to create the mood I was trying for. Almost looks like little waterfalls coming from the sides. But this is where I really wanted to play. I wanted to try something different. Color, I love color. I'm a bit colorblind, so I generally pop the color a lot more than some people. But when I took the color away, that's when those lights on the sides really turned into waterfalls with mist coming up above them. The light became texture, not just color and brightness. Seeing light as a texture changed my entire perspective of using light. And that was a real eye-opening moment for me in my photography journey, when I just took the color away from a colorful image, and it showed me something completely different. Yeah, if I can explain how to position flash on an outdoor shoot, I think my best answer to that would be, look at where the sun is, emulate the sun. You know, try and, where's the sun coming from, right? So if I'm on an outdoor shoot and it's a dark day, then I can use a flash where the sun would normally be and have that create the light. Then of course I'd make sure the color temperature was accurate so that it was really looking like the sun. If I'm not trying to simulate the sun though, then I'm just, you know, letting the sun light my subject and then using flash as a fill. So it's less about here, put the light here, and it's more about look at your scene, look at where you need the light to be, and then put the light there with what color you want it to be, how big you want that light to be, if you want it to just fill a little spot or fill a whole area. Which kind of brings me to this photo here. Some of you may know this gentleman. This is Ron Clifford. He's a local photographer, brilliant local photographer, amazing photo mentor, super creative, artistic gentleman. We were doing a thing called Faces of Hope. My friend Navi Noom and myself did an event called Faces of Hope when we had our studio. It was to benefit mental health, of course. And Ron Clifford is the spokesperson for mental health in many ways. So we brought him into the studio and we were making these photos. It's amazing when you think about what Navi had to do to light this image. She had 5 or 6 different lights. She had flags blocking lights from hitting certain parts of his face so that he had light in his eyes, but there wasn't too much light on his cheeks. It was really able to contour that light exactly where we wanted it. So first off, thank you, Ron, for sitting in on that session, because not only did it help mental health, but it also helped me personally learning about lighting and where to put the light and how important it was to not put light in certain places. And that's it. There's a little light painting photo I did, just again, flashlights, fiber optics, and that's about it. All right, so let me see if this mouse will allow me to come down here and click a few things. Get rid of that, get rid of that. And then you can see the mouse crawling across the screen. There we go. All right, guys. It was a little bit of a challenge today. The little trackpad lost its juice, but we got through it okay. Thanks for sticking with me today on this conversation. And I really want to point out to everybody who's watching, I'm just a guy that works in a camera store. I love photography. I've been here 18 years. I really want to make sure that you all enjoy photography to a higher level. So if you have questions, please come by the store. There's a reason we still have brick and mortar locations, and that's so you can come in, get advice, get help, pick up your product here in our store with our amazing salespeople who are trained specifically to qualify you correctly and find out what you're looking for, not oversell you, not undersell you either. We want to make sure that you're getting what you need to create your stories and all the light that you want to work with. So come on in, let us do our job. Any questions at all for us, guys, send it to newmarket@henrys.com. My personal email is brian.weiss@henrys.com, bryan.weiss@henrys.com. I don't have my little lower thirds prepared. There was a lot of other things I was working on today. And other than that, don't forget our photo challenge is still at play. May is Mental Health Awareness Month. Our photo challenge, therefore, is Mad World. I had a photo that I had made for Mad World, but I'm not going to use it. I'm going to make a new one because of the recent events that happened into our store that really showed me how mad the world is, and it made me mad. So I'm going to use that as my Mad World photo. Doug, thank you. I'm glad you were here. Good info to have. And to everybody who watched today, thank you so much for being here with us. Don't forget to come on in, say hi. Say hi to Juan, say hi to Steve, say hi to Joseph, Aurora, our store manager, and myself, and of course, Daniel. That's our entire crew here. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you all next week. I'm not going to know how to turn this off because I got to go down layers. So, and this mouse is not happy. It's just crawling around, crawling. Oh, I think it's almost over. I'm almost at the button. I'm at the button. Bye.